Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
And welcome to Justice Serve TV. I'm Michael Bryant. Hello, Linda Kinney-Bod. Welcome to Fridelson.
Happy Fridelson.
Fridelson.
At least for those of us who are not in jail and not expected to be on trial for the murder of Professor Dan Markel. That be one Donna Adelson coming up soon.
Yep, August 19th trial will begin with jury selection. They project it to go through September 15th. So we're taking each Friday to kind of re-expose ourselves to one of the witnesses from one of the many prior trials, focusing on the Charlie Adelson trial. Here's the most recent conviction for the conspiracy murder of Dan Markel from FSU. So we had Charlie. We had who was the first person we had? I've already forgotten. I can't even remember. And now we're working our way toward Wendy. I think
Wendy's boyfriend.
Oh, that's right, Wendy's boyfriend. We're working toward Wendy, who I think should be the crescendo somewhere in the first week or so of August before we get going. But a name that has come up many times, and I've actually got a bit of a beef with some of the folks who have made comments about some of the stuff we're doing on Friday.
Oh, I've been beefing back at them.
Yeah, I'm good for you.
They didn't see all the trials. We've been covering them since the beginning. And people take what they think are the truth, what is the truth, for the case, but they haven't heard the other trials where different things were said over all the different trials.
There's one thing that I'm focusing on that is it's just kind of annoying. I don't care if someone wants to challenge what we do know, what we don't. Fine, that's fine. That's what this whole thing's about. I don't care. But more than one person has said, the person we're going to hear from today, Katherine Magbanua, the former girlfriend, associate, something of Charlie Adelson, and the former baby mama of Sigfredo Garcia, that she never worked at his dental practice. She never worked there. Well, she will testify to that degree. I didn't work there. She got checks from the Adelson Institute, which to me sounds more like an insane asylum than a dental office, but that's a different story. She got checks from those folks. Now, did she work? Did she provide effort that somehow justified getting paid? I don't know. But from an evidentiary standpoint, if I see checks from a business to a person in the absence of something a little more concrete than a liar's lie, and that's Katherine Magbanua, I'm going to assume she provided something either directly to the practice or directly to the practitioner, Mr. Adelson. I'm not sure what the process was.
And the very first trial that was on, that was actually testified to. You have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, and there were, as you know, she was hung the first time. Sigfredo Garcia went down the first time.
Right.
She was hung. They were tried together, which I thought was very interesting.
And she had really good lawyers the first time. I mean, not that her lawyers were bad the second time, but she really had really good lawyers. As a matter of fact, I remember at Law and Crime, we thought there's a possibility she could be acquitted on that first trial.
Yeah. Because she actually wasn't bad. She was sort of likable and sort of came across a bit like a victim. That's changed. Because now she's in the prison togs. So the
looking for love, by the way, Michael.
Is that true?
She's on. Yes, she's actually on one of these pen letter sites, and she likes food. She's a foodie, and all.
It's got to be tough in prison as a foodie.
Yeah, and if you want to go on one of these sites, you can Google it. I'll tell you which one. You can write to her and become a love interest. She's looking for love.
Let me note that. So again, my point here is that you're going to believe the liar Magbanua that I never worked here. Come on, people. Come on. I can only be glad that you weren't on the jury that ultimately convicted her, and weren't on the jury that convicted Charlie, and you're not going to be on the jury for Donna Adelson as that one is coming along. A lot of people think it's going to be pro forma. You got to go through the process. There is justice. She's deserved a trial. People, I think, would be shocked if there's anything but a conviction. But who knows? One of the folks that's certainly going to be queued up to have their day is going to be not this guy. This was interesting. This was a Law and Crime recording, I believe, but I don't know if they were pooled. I kind of doubt it. I think Court TV was probably pooled. They were on Charlie Adelson as much as anybody else, for reactions. And I know how Lori Vallow Daybell did not like that and made a point of complaining to the court that the camera was on her too much, and they actually fixed it. They stopped doing that. But in this case, they're on him a lot. Let's get into it. Katherine Magbanua, she is a convicted killer, now testifying in the case against Mr. Charlie Adelson, soon to be convicted himself. When do we get the truth in these cases? Cross-examination, and this is Mr. Rashbaum. I'm going to miss him in the new trial, but this is him back then.
I'll direct your attention to page 2800, lines 1 through 5.
Please read to yourself now.
Those are, those prison togs are actually, it looks like she goes to beauty school or something. They're pretty stylish.
The funny thing is, I have that
Does that
deep
refresh
purple
your
skirt that I
recollection?
can just wear.
Yes,
Do
sir,
you?
it does.
Okay, maybe we can get one of those with the JSTV logo on it.
During your second trial, do you recall being asked, Charlie didn't ask you to do anything weird? Answer, no, ma'am. Like get someone to get a hitman to commit a murder of his ex-brother-in-law? No, ma'am. Do you recall those questions and that answer?
Yes, sir, I do.
Because you couldn't implicate Charlie, you went to trial, and the first trial hung. Isn't that the case?
Yes, sir.
A few weeks before your second trial, Charlie was arrested.
Yes,
Isn't
sir.
that the case?
Yes, sir.
The state waited and waited and waited for you to cooperate, and then they arrested him on the eve of your trial when you made it clear you weren't going to cooperate, right?
Yes, sir.
So you went to trial the second time, and this time you were convicted.
Yes, sir.
And you were convicted of first-degree murder and other charges, right?
Yes, sir.
A few weeks after your conviction, you were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus another 30 years. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And you were transferred from the jail in Leon County to the state prison where you would spend the rest of your life, right?
Yes, sir.
Away from your family,
Yes, sir.
away from your children.
Yes, sir.
And you realize that there are only two ways to get out of that prison, right?
What are the two ways?
Well, one way was in a coffin, right?
Yes, sir.
And the other way was cooperating against Charlie Adelson, right?
No, sir. I wanted the truth to finally come out.
What are the only two ways that you can ever get out of prison, Miss Magbanua?
My appeal?
Oh, well, we'll get to that too. You have an appeal pending right now, right?
Yes, sir.
That claims that you're innocent.
Yes, sir.
Let's just make this clear to the jury. Ms. Kappelman has called you as a witness against this man who's presumed innocent. You've just testified that you did a murder, and you have an appeal pending right now in this county claiming your innocence. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay, before he moves on, it's important, I think, to talk about the motivation for her testimony, which is what he's getting at, right? When she testified on her own behalf, it was, to beat the rap. So she'll talk about how, well, I lied then because I was trying to, get off. And now he's making it clear, well, why would you testify? However, you're going to testify in this case? Well, because you're trying to help your circumstances in prison. I mean, otherwise you're done. Do you think she really believes her appeal has a shot?
Well, her attorneys are probably telling her that it does have a shot. That's what attorneys do. It's very hard to say, well, we're making this appeal, but you have no chance to get out.
Yes.
But they're also probably advising her, but the best chance you have to get out is to be a snitch now after the fact. You kind of blew it before. Now you can come forward and tell the truth. And even though you may not have any promises, wink, wink, nod, nod. Maybe then we can negotiate for you.
And he mentioned Ms. Kappelman. That, of course, is the prosecutor.
Who, by the way, has had
Kappelman.
every single case. Initially, when I first saw her, I thought she was a little low key, but boy, her cross examinations have been like dynamite.
Yep. And as someone once said, I think she's also very good looking.
Typical man.
So let's continue on.
And lo and behold, weeks after you were convicted and sentenced to life with no parole, you went in and met with the state, right?
Yes, sir.
And you met with them not once, but twice.
Yes, sir.
And you met with them for hours.
Yes, sir.
A combined total of around 6 hours, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, we're going to get into that and all the lies that Ms. Kappelman didn't go through with you that you made during those interviews, but let's go back to the first trials first, okay? In each of those trials, you took the stand for your own defense, right?
Yes, sir.
And you took the same oath and looked at different jurors the same way that you look today, right?
Yes, sir.
And in your second trial, not only did you take an oath in this room, but isn't it true that you tried to get Sigfredo to lie for you?
No, sir, I did not.
Isn't it true that you were caught on a recording in the prison in which you were going to have Sigfredo Garcia come into your trial, your second trial, and say that he did the murder with Charlie Adelson all by himself?
No, sir.
You never were on a recording of
Never
that
said
fact.
that.
Your plan at your second trial wasn't to have Sigfredo Garcia testify on your behalf?
No, sir.
Are you aware that your lawyer opened up on that plan
No,
in
sir.
her opening?
No.
Well, did you sit through the trial?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you sit through the trial when she said to the jury, you're going to hear from Sigfredo Garcia, who's going to say that the murder was between him and Charlie Adelson, and that you're just a victim of having bad taste in men?
He never came up.
He refused to come and testify, right?
I don't know if he refused. He was never called.
Are you aware that you and your lawyer subpoenaed him to come down to Leon County to testify on your behalf?
He was subpoenaed, but he just never showed up.
And he didn't
He
show
never
up?
took the stand.
Right. He was subpoenaed by you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you got on the phone with him. You were caught because you're not supposed to talk to each other, right?
Yes, sir.
But you guys talk to each other because what you do is you call his mom, right?
Yes, sir.
And he calls his mom. Isn't that what you all do?
At that time, yes, sir.
Yeah, you call each other so that you could talk to each other through the mom. And during one of those calls, you asked him to come testify on your behalf. Isn't that what you did?
No, I did not ask him.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to some other lies.
Objection.
Objection. Obviously, he should play it if he's got it, right? You know.
Oh my gosh.
During your first trial, you were asked, you didn't ask Mr. Garcia to help this lady get her kids back in Tallahassee. Answer, no, ma'am. You didn't solicit him to commit a murder of Dan Markel. Answer, no, ma'am. Do you recall those questions and answers?
Yes, sir.
You were asked, well, back then, did you know someone by the name of Dan Markel? Answer, no, ma'am. In 2014, you learned that Wendy Adelson's divorce was already finalized, right? I learned that in court. I didn't know it before. Do you remember those
Yes, sir.
those words? Those were lies, right?
Yes, I lied in my trials to save myself.
We'll keep going.
So believe me
Bingo.
now.
Bingo.
You lied when you said that Charlie told you that Professor Markel had been in an accident, right?
I lied that. Say it again, sir.
Well, I'll ask you the questions. Do you remember having a conversation with Charlie Adelson about his brother-in-law being in an accident? Does that sound familiar to you? It
Yeah.
sounds familiar. Yeah, that was a lie, right?
No, that's what Charlie said.
He
That
told
is-
you that he was in an accident. He'd tell you that there was a murder.
No, he told me he was in an accident.
So you didn't know about the murder of Dan Markel on July 18th. Is that what you're telling this jury?
No, not at that time.
Well, when did you find out about the murder of Dan Markel?
It was later on.
Oh, really? So the money that you brought to the guys that Miss Kappelman brought up on opening, the money you brought up to the guys on July 19th, it was because Dan Markel was in an accident?
I didn't know that was Dan Markel. Like, I didn't know his name.
Oh.
But there was a murder that happened, yes.
All right.
Let's
At
keep
the
digging.
March 11th dinner that you had with Mr. Lacoste at Yardbird, Dan Markel's name wasn't mentioned?
No, sir.
Would it surprise you that Mr. Lacoste has testified to the opposite of that?
No, I haven't seen his testimony.
I always like those questions. Would it surprise you?
At your first trial, you were asked, did Charlie mention anything to you about a murder out of Tallahassee? So now it's not Dan Markel. It's just a murder out of Tallahassee. And your answer was no, ma'am. Question, did he mention anything about his ex-brother-in-law being murdered? Answer, no, ma'am. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, sir.
And those were lies, right?
Yes, I told you I lied. I lied in my trials to save myself.
I understand. Please let me keep going through them. There's a lot of them, so we'll take our time.
Yes, sir.
Now, you said you never saw any cash at Charlie's place. Do you recall that at trial?
He had cash, but I didn't know how much he had. I know he keeps cash in his safe.
But I thought you just testified moments ago that you never saw cash at his place. He didn't keep cash at his place. That supposedly his parents had to bring the cash. Isn't that what you just told this jury about 18 minutes ago?
An abundance of cash.
Oh, gosh.
Have you seen a safe?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever seen it open?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't he keep a lot of cash that he collects on the top of his safe?
I mean, I'm not like looking in it, but every single time we used to go out, he used to grab some money from the safe and then take it with him.
Repeatedly during both trials, you said you worked at the Adelson Institute. You never worked at the Adelson Institute,
No,
right?
sir, I did not.
Now we're going to hear about a Lexus.
So you got paid.
Yes, sir.
You said you paid for that Lexus. You never paid for that Lexus. Isn't that
I
the case?
paid Charlie cash for that Lexus.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I think the state might disagree. Has the state disagreed with you on that point?
About me paying him cash? Yes, because there was nothing that was coming out of my account, but I paid him cash. I had the cash on me.
During the trial, first trial, you were asked, do you know why it is that Charlie chose you out of all of his ex-girlfriends to call? I don't know why he called me. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, sir.
That was a lie, right?
I told you I lied in my first and second trial to save myself.
Well, let's get to the second trial. Just like you're lying here to save yourself, right?
I'm not saving myself. I'm telling the truth this time.
Right, because now all of a sudden, after 8 years, you have developed a conscience. I think that's what you told the jury.
No, it's because the father of my children was on death penalty at that time on my first trial. So I couldn't give up. If it was just Charlie, like I said from the trial, go ahead and arrest him. Nobody ever did.
He didn't get the death penalty after the first trial, and he was convicted, right?
Yes, sir.
And by the time of his second trial, you had no reason to protect him anymore. He was done.
No, sir. He was under appeal.
Okay, just like you're under appeal now.
Yes, sir.
So what you said to this jury about 20 minutes ago is you said to this jury, I'm here today to tell the truth, and I want to get your exact words. Because I want to do the right thing.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it because you want to go home? And that's the only way that you could ever go home is to help them. That's the only way you can go home by not being dead.
I was not promised anything. I'm doing this solely on myself. Clearly, you don't even see my attorneys in this room.
Let's talk about the second trial.
She was smart enough to say that. You notice that?
Yep.
Again, you lied when you testified that you didn't know anything
True,
about
that's
or
what I
were
said.
involved in the murder of Professor Markel, right?
Yes, sir. I told you I lied in my first and second trial to save myself.
Ma'am, we've heard it. If you could just answer the questions. Did
Yes,
you
sir.
lie?
Yes, sir.
You lied when you testified that you knew nothing about Wendy's divorce, Wendy Adelson's divorce.
Yes, sir.
You lied when you said you didn't pick up money from Charlie's house on July 18th.
Yes, sir.
You lied when you said you knew nothing about stapled cash.
Yes, sir.
You lied when you said you didn't bring the money to Sigfredo or Luis Rivera the next day.
Yes, sir.
You lied again when you said you worked as a personal assistant for Charlie, right?
Yes, sir.
You lied repeatedly when you tried to discuss what had happened, what was being spoken at Dolce Vita, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, now let's talk about the lies that you told that the state didn't go over with you.
Just can we stop
Let's
it right
talk
there,
about
Michael?
your proffers, your cooperation.
Yes, sir.
I'm running out of keeping track of the lies. Yes.
I know. Just really quickly for those who don't know this trial, because a lot of people will be coming on it. You know, we're talking about 11 years, and yes, it's fine to talk about 11 years, everybody. Okay, because it's a long time for justice to be done. Sigfredo Garcia was the trigger man. Katherine, was the girlfriend of him. Okay, they were allegedly married. They had.
Yeah, she was the baby mama. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
2 kids. I'm not sure they were ever married.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying allegedly. So at one point, I think there was some testimony. I'm not sure they were. They had 2 kids together. Luis, who they just mentioned, Luis Rivera, he was the getaway driver. All right,
and he turned. He turned immediately.
He turned. Yeah, he took the plea deal immediately. So just for if you want to do the flow chart of who is involved, those are the names you just heard.
Yeah, and now we're coming up with Donna, the mother, really the last in the chain of this conspiracy, all because of a custody battle, and Dan Markel ends up.
Yeah, and there's a question about whether Donna's husband is involved, but there's no indication yet they're going to arrest him. And of course, everyone's waiting to see what happens with Wendy, who has some limited immunity.
Limited immunity, whatever that means at this point. Yeah. Interesting that within 2 weeks of his conviction is when Donna was arrested. So, it seems to be there's a master plan, which may or may not involve Wendy going down as well in some form. I bet you he protects himself in prison by giving like free dental work or something. He's got
So you were interviewed by the state twice in October and November 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, you've met with them a couple times since then, right?
A couple times.
Have you met with them
After?
since? Yeah, after that point?
Probably one time.
You met with Ms. Kappelman?
Yes, yes, sir.
Did Ms. Kappelman ask you about our defense during that meeting?
No, sir.
She didn't ask you about whether, for the first time, whether you ever threatened
No,
Charlie
sir.
Adelson? Now, when you met with them in October and November of 2022, this was after you got your life sentence, right?
Yes, sir.
And you met with them first in Marion County Jail on October 11th, right?
Marion County Jail? No, sir. I've never been in that county.
You met with them in the jail. I got the wrong jail, obviously.
I've never met with them in any jails.
Where did you meet with them?
I
the
was
first time?
already in DOC
Okay.
in Lowell.
You met with them in prison.
Yes, sir.
Apologies. And the second time, you met with them at the state attorney's office, right? Here in Tallahassee.
Yes, sir.
And both times, Special Agent Sanford was there.
Yes, sir.
Investigator Jason Newland was there.
Yes, sir.
And TPD Investigator Sherry Bennett were there.
Yes, sir.
And they asked you questions.
Yes, sir.
And each time, you told them a version of events that was very different from what you said at your trials, right?
Yes, sir.
In fact, during those 6 hours of interviews, you told them about 5 more versions, right?
5 different versions of it?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Oh, so you told them the same thing throughout the 6 hours that you met with them?
I believe so, but I think the first time you can't even visit more than 2 hours. So I don't know where you're getting 6 hours.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but let's look. The first interview started at 9:26 a.m. and it ended at 11:44 a.m. So a little over 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
First interview.
See, that really
Your
goes to show
position
she's
right now,
smart.
what you're
She
telling this
corrects
jury
him.
is that the
She
same
corrects him, right? She
Yeah,
corrects him. It can only
on
be
really
2 hours.
incidental stuff too.
On it,
Because
right.
now he has to go sideways to itemize each of the interviews, do
Right.
the math, and prove her wrong.
So that's saccharine, yes, sir, no, sir, which almost got her acquitted on the first trial.
Yeah,
You
like I
see that
said, you know,
she's
if you see her
manipulative
sitting
and
there,
calculative.
she doesn't look menacing. She has a soft voice, but all the lies didn't seem to help. At least not in the second trial. She did okay in the first trial.
thing you told them in the first interview, you told them in the second interview?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
You believe so or you know so?
I know so. I believe so. I believe so.
You absolutely know so.
No, I don't, not verbatim exactly what I said.
Isn't it true that during the entire first interview, you said you had nothing to do with the murder?
No, sir, I didn't say that.
All right, well, we're going to go through exact quotes and we'll see if your memory can be refreshed.
Yes, sir.
By the way, during any of these interviews, did you give them any documentation, anything new, any text messages, documentation, WhatsApps, any new, as people call it, receipts? Did you give them any new evidence?
No, I'm in prison. I don't have anything.
It was just your words, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about what you said. During the first proffer, which was a little over 2 hours,
Yes, sir.
you raised your hand and they put you under oath, right?
Yes, sir.
And throughout the proffer, the agents, particularly Special Agent Sanford, kept on telling you that you have to tell the truth, right?
Yes, sir.
He didn't believe you.
I mean, whatever his reasons are.
Was he
No.
frustrated with you during the interview?
Yes, sir.
In fact, 1 hour and 8 minutes into the proffer, he said to you that you were minimizing your involvement.
What is the objection?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Please, approach.
This judge is about as low key
So let's go back.
as it gets.
Your position, what you've told this jury, is you are completely consistent. You told the same story during the entire proffer, right?
I can't, like I told you, I can't remember verbatim what I've said from the first proffer and the second proffer.
Let's just
That's
talk
when you
about the
lie
first
so
proffer.
when you lie so
Your
much.
view is
I can't
that from
keep
the
up with
beginning
my
of the
own
first
lies.
proffer to the end of the first proffer, you said the same thing throughout. That's what you're telling this jury.
From the first proffer to the second proffer, that I'm saying the same exact thing. I don't remember verbatim what I've said.
How about from the beginning of the first proffer to the end of the first proffer? What you told the jury is you were consistent from the beginning of the first proffer to the end of the first proffer. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, sir.
Is that still your testimony?
No, I was consistent about it. No, because it was very hard for me to confess what I've done.
So let me ask the question again.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that during the first proffer, for the first 1 hour and 8 minutes, you continued to say that you didn't murder Professor Markel?
No, sir, I didn't say that.
I don't understand your answer. So let me rephrase.
Okay.
Isn't it true that for the first half of the first proffer, you denied participation in the murder of Professor Markel?
No, sir, I was telling him what happened and how my involvement in it.
So your position is that
sir.
throughout the entire first proffer, you admitted that you participated in the murder of Professor Markel.
Yes, sir.
Judge, may I proceed now?
You may.
Okay, so
Would it
let's open up the Justice Theory TV classroom here to explain what happened. Remember, there was a hearsay objection. They went to sidebar. They talked about it, and obviously it had to do with this exchange between the cops
Special agent, right?
and this witness during her, I guess, her second proffer.
Yeah, he
And
told her, the cop, the special agent told her that he didn't believe her, right? And then there was an objection for hearsay.
Yep. And so now the rash bomb, right? Rash bomb. Yeah. He's laid this foundation. He's basically, Judge, are we good now? Can we go forward?
Surprise you that 1 hour and 8 minutes into the first proffer, Special Agent Sanford said that you were minimizing your involvement in Professor Markel's murder.
Like he stated, I was minimizing it. It was hard for me to confess everything that I've suppressed for the past 7 years.
11 minutes later, he said that what you were telling him made absolutely no sense. Do you recall him saying that?
No, sir, I did not.
I guess you
Let
can't
me see if I
say
can
what
show
he
you.
I guess, Michael, you can't say what you were telling him was bullshit, right? I guess you can't say that in the courtroom.
Well, even though that is a legal word, as we know, but yeah, she's too demure. That isn't the kind of language she would use. So. Wonder what the prosecutor sitting there thinking as her star witness does what she does. I wonder if she thinks, it's just a done deal, formality. Doesn't matter what this witness says.
Does this refresh your recollection that Special Agent Sanford said all of it doesn't make sense? I'll withdraw it.
Please allow her to.
Does this refresh your recollection of what Agent Sanford said?
Just the line that you highlighted?
You can read before and after to make sure I'm not doing lawyer tricks.
Yes, sir. Can I?
Of course.
I actually kind of like his style.
I do like him. I like him a lot. He reminds me a little bit of Steve Carell.
Yes, he looks like him a little bit too. Yeah, not this guy, not Adelson.
No. She's reading now.
So the thing about this great thing for the prosecution, it kind of doesn't matter what she says and how many of them, because she's got to say, I lied. She's already been convicted, and so the prosecution doesn't care.
Yeah, I think it's just, whatever the jury does with it, they do with it. Whether they believe anything at all or nothing at all. It's not the whole case, that's for sure. But obviously a critical player. So, early on, she could roll over on Charlie because he wasn't a defendant.
Yes, Agent Sanford is saying that why am I not remember conversations, specific conversations? And I told him I can't recall those specific conversations.
Was he telling you that what you were saying didn't make sense to him?
I'm going to object to what Agent Sanford said on his opinions.
Sustained, please lay the foundation to impeach specifically.
At some point in the interview, did he walk out on you?
Yes, he did on the second interview.
Yeah, okay. We're going to get to that. That's like 4 hours into your combined interviews, right?
I believe so.
Right? So you come back, and I think it's over an hour into the second interview. So actually, my math isn't great. It's like 3.5 hours into interviewing. Agent Sanford gets so upset.
Judge, I'm going to object to Agent Sanford's opinions.
I'll rephrase.
Actions or words.
He's withdrawing the question. Please move on.
Around 3 hours into these interviews, Agent Sanford decides to leave the room, right?
Yes, sir.
He was frustrated with you, right?
I believe so.
Truthfully, during your first interview,
Look at Charlie Adelson's face there now. Look at that face looking at her.
you kept on saying all of these things were jumbled in your head, right?
Yes, sir.
You said that about 11 times. Do you recall that?
I don't recall how many times I said it. No, sir.
You said that eventually, 33 minutes into the interview, you said you arranged through an envelope that Charlie gave you, but that you never opened it for Sigfredo to rough up Professor Markel. Do you recall saying that?
Repeat the question.
33 minutes into the interview,
Yes, sir.
you admitted that you arranged through an envelope that Charlie gave you, but that you never opened
Yes, sir.
for Sigfredo to rough up Professor Markel. Do you recall that?
I've never said Professor Markel's name.
to rough up the deceased.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain?
You told them 33 minutes into the interview
Yes.
that Charlie had given you an envelope that you had never opened, that miraculously got to Sigfredo Garcia, and the purpose of it was to rough up his ex-brother-in-law.
No, because I didn't know what the contents of what was in the envelope, so I wouldn't have said that.
You said that somehow that plan had transitioned to murder, but according to what you told investigators, you never knew when that happened. Do you recall saying that?
Repeat the question again, sir.
You said that somehow the rough up plan had transitioned to murder.
I never said rough up or any of those words. That's why it's confusing me what you're stating.
Let's say it again.
Yes, sir.
You said that somehow the plan had transitioned to murder. But according to what you told investigators, you never knew when that transition happened.
Well, at that time, I didn't know.
At the time that you were interviewed?
No, not in my interview, but when it was happening, as they're interviewing me and we're going through the scenario.
I'm going to show you 186 to 187. You know what? I'll just move on. You told investigators during your first interview, 2 hours into it, 2 hours and 1 minute to be exact,
Yes, sir.
that you never spoke to Charlie about the change in plans,
I never spoke to Charlie about the change in plans.
meaning it going to become a murder.
I'm confused about the questions you're asking. Is this what I said?
Yes, what you said to these investigators just a year ago after you were convicted for life, didn't you tell investigators you didn't know it was going to be a murder?
When we were talking about this, like I said, it was hard for me to confess my involvement in this.
Right. So
Can you show me where I said this?
let's just go with what you just said.
Yes, sir.
So 2 hours into your first interview, when you said this, you still were not admitting that you had a part in the murder.
Yes, it was very hard for me to do this, especially that they came to me in prison where,
Right.
Why are all these investigators coming in?
Okay, so we are now where we started.
She's manipulative. She's
Which is
extremely
during this first
manipulative.
trial.
This is
That
coming
fits.
through.
Just a year ago, under oath again, you refused to admit at first that you had anything to do with the murder, that you were a part of the murder.
Yes,
think
sir.
that's-
Yes.
Okay,
It's hard for me to admit it. Yes, sir, it is. It's still hard for me to admit it right now.
okay.
But you were, ma'am.
Yeah, how's that appeal looking?
During your first proffer, 9 minutes and 14 seconds into it, do you recall being asked the following questions? And as you saw in trial, Garcia and Rivera made a trip in June. What can you tell us about that? Answer. See, like I don't even remember. I mean, obviously, like you're telling me to, like, remember from what I heard at trial. I learned a lot of things from trial. That's why it's so hard. And I want to say the right thing, but like, I don't remember them going up on a first trip. Do you recall saying that during this proffer?
I don't recall it. If you could show it to me.
You know the question you asked me at the beginning, Michael, if you want to stop while he's looking for it about the appeal. Attorneys will always say that there's a good reason or there's something that could happen. The problem you have is that she's admitted to the murder, and now she's admitting it to it again under oath. And so everything that could be reversible error becomes what we call harmless error, unless there's some major constitutional rights violation. So while her attorneys may say this could be good for appeal, this could be good for appeal, you and I both know that as we watch this testimony and she digs deeper and deeper into manipulation and showing how manipulative she is, and you look at Charlie Adelson's face looking at her, and you look at her trying to evade the answers again here, that idea of harmless error, even if there is a constitutional violation, may not be maybe something that just it takes over what the judges feel on appeal.
How do you feel about, as she mentioned, none of my attorneys are even here, whether she's still represented, certainly on the appeal, they're of record, but were they not consulted about how she might testify or where she might still be able to assert her Fifth Amendment rights? I mean, just feels like she's up there twisting in the wind and doing whatever she has to do.
Yeah, but that maybe that's what I say. There may be that. Remember, she's subpoenaed, right? She doesn't have a deal here. She's being brought in under a habeas warrant to bring her to court for a subpoena, blah blah blah, from prison, arranged by the prosecutors because they've interviewed her. Now, have they interviewed her with a wink, wink, and a nod, nod? Maybe. Okay, maybe. I mean, that's maybe why she's up there confessing here, because she is confessing.
Right, and that's her. She's a prosecution witness. She's there to help convict Charlie Adelson.
Right, and that's the whole point of this cross-examination. Sure. Unless you're here to help convict Adelson because you're an admitted murderer, you've been found guilty, the only way you can get anything to get out of jail earlier than life, whether it be 60 years, 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, whatever, is to convict Charlie Adelson. And that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, and she says at some point, or maybe she said it and I missed it, but having watched this before, she said, I want to see my kids, when talking about her motivation. Yeah, that's strong motivation.
Yeah.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Now, I believe she's wearing handcuffs. People may say, well, why is she wearing handcuffs? One, she's not the defendant. She's being brought in as a convicted murderer.
But having said that,
does that refresh your recollection that you
it's
said
still,
that?
I think, prejudicial. I think that extra step, if she does have either leg or handcuffs on, I still think it's unnecessarily prejudicial. Okay, she's in togs already, unless she's an intern in a hospital wearing that outfit. What's the point of the cuffs and stuff? Is she really going anywhere?
You were asked during your proffer on page 68. I don't know how long into it, probably about a third into it. Question: before that trip, you knew that Lewis was going to go with him on that trip. Answer: no, I never knew he was going with him. Do you recall answering that way?
Yes, sir.
You also said during that proffer, 63 minutes in, that you didn't know Luis Rivera was going on the second trip to Tallahassee. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, sir.
During that interview on page 83, you told investigators, this is just a year ago, that on the night of July 18th, you didn't know that Charlie's brother-in-law had been shot.
Can you show me that, sir?
Sure.
She made a distinction at one point about not knowing that Dan Markel had been shot because she didn't know the name, but she knew that a person had been shot.
Boy, if there's ever a look of worry on Charlie Adelson's face, that's it.
Yep.
Let me just.
Yes, because I'm emphasizing I
tongue.
don't know Dan Markel.
You said that you didn't know that Dan Markel had been shot, right?
Yes, sir.
You told that to investigators a year ago, that's what, on that night, you had no idea that there was a shooting.
Yes, I was partly denying, probably still my involvement in it. This is something I've suppressed for a long time, sir.
Now, what's also interesting
She's a victim.
is when you
Oh, boy.
described July 18th, you said Charlie was panicked.
Yes, sir.
You said he took his Xanax and you took his Xanax.
Yes, sir. He gave me.
You said that he was upset.
I never said he was upset. He was just frantic.
Frantic. That really doesn't help with any. Oh boy.
Yeah, look up synonyms, please.
Let's move on to the second proffer.
Yes, sir.
The second proffer was 6 weeks after the first proffer. You recall that?
This is when I came back. I came here.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
And you met with investigators for 3.5 hours this time,
If that's what it says.
from 10:06 in the morning to 1:38 in the afternoon.
Yes, sir.
At the beginning of the interview, you told investigators you didn't know why you were there, right?
Yes, I didn't know what I got pulled out for.
And 15 minutes into the interview, Agent Sanford left the room, right?
Yes, sir.
He didn't come back.
No, sir.
During the interview, you recall being told that you weren't giving the state anything to make them want to do anything for you.
Repeat that question, sir.
Do you recall that during the interview, you were told that you weren't giving the state anything to make them want to do anything for you?
Who stated that?
Investigator Bennett.
Okay, yes, sir.
She was upset.
I mean, we were just talking about the same thing over again.
When she said that you had a real issue, right?
Not that I can recall. What's the issue?
Well, if you didn't help the state and give them something that they could work with, there was only one way you were ever getting out of prison, and that's in a box.
Why do you keep stating that, sir?
You're in jail for the rest of your life, right?
Yes, sir.
If the state doesn't help you, the only way you're getting out of prison is when you die.
But they never said they were going to help me. I wasn't promised.
That's not my
anything.
question. What's the only way that you're getting out of prison if the state doesn't help you?
I'll die in prison.
During this second proffer, they asked you, you mean to tell me that you had no clue that he came to Tallahassee? Answer, he never told me he was going to Tallahassee. Do you recall saying that you didn't know that Sigfredo Garcia was going to Tallahassee?
Yes, sir. I never knew he went to Tallahassee.
You never knew Sigfredo Garcia went to Tallahassee?
No, sir.
Okay. During these proffers, you never told the state about monthly payments, did you?
Monthly payments.
That Charlie was making monthly payments to you?
What, the checks from the Adelson Institute?
Yes.
They were aware of that.
How about the cash he was giving you every month?
He wasn't giving me any cash every month.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He wasn't giving you $2,000 of cash every single month that you're heard on the wires trying to accept?
No, sir.
He was just giving you an Adelson Institute check?
Yes, sir. What would the $2,000 be for?
Before you gave you the Adelson Institute checks, you were getting $3,000 a month, right?
No, sir.
You know, She's there. It doesn't matter what she says.
Oh no.
It wasn't
It's
until
just
1
the
hour
look
and 13.
of Charlie Adelson and his reaction to her, all the jury needs to see. I mean,
Yep.
it's simple that. I mean, I know they complained about the camera, and I've been in that situation sitting next to clients. I've complained about the camera. Most times the judge says, stop, the camera's going to stay on you. That's it. You know, your client's on trial. But this is what the jury is seeing in the courtroom. And he looks worried. He looks upset. He's shooting her darts and eyes. And he knows that it doesn't matter what she says, she is taking him down.
Yep. And every minute that she's on the stand on cross and being belligerent and manipulative and admitting to lying, you know, the look on his face is resignation. It's like, wonder what prison's going to be like. Not good.
13 minutes in the first proffer that you first admitted that you didn't work for the Adelson Institute, right?
Yes, sir. I lied about it.
In the proffer.
In the proffer, I don't know when I said it, but I lied in my trials about.
Could we explain, Michael,
getting
what a
those
proffer is?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting too because it has a couple of different meanings. It generally is when a showing is being made to either law enforcement or the court. In court is where we see it more often, right? Where we'll have a witness who will have a voir dire and a proffer that, Your Honor, this is the testimony we expect to elicit, and then the court decides whether the jury should hear it. Talk about it in the context of this investigation.
Okay. In terms of when you're representing a defendant, the state will want to know, or the government usually, if you're going to get some kind of deal, we're going to give you some kind of deal, we want to know what you are going to say, and we want to hear it honestly from you. So you actually waive your constitutional rights. I mean, you go in there and you tell them everything. And if they like what you have to say, they may come back with an offer from you, or there may be an offer that exists beforehand that it says, if you do this, this is the offer that we will give you, which just depends on whether it's state or the government. In the feds, it's called actually queen for a day, believe it or not, that you're bringing in your client for this proffer as to what can be offered, what benefit, what testimony can be offered that will help the government, and then you will get the deal that they've already, usually in the feds, they've already put it on the table, and there's a written whole document that everyone's signed off on. In states, sometimes it's a little bit differently, but that's what a proffer is. And
it's unclear in this case whether she was supporting a deal already made or giving info that she hoped would lead to a deal.
Right. And sometimes that's exactly what happens. People will get up there and witnesses will get up there and say, look, I met with them, but they didn't offer me anything. And you'll say, well, don't you expect them to come out and ask the judge to lower your sentence as a result of it? They didn't offer me anything, but you're hoping for that wink, wink, nod, nod. So
Right. If the testimony goes properly.
Right. Yeah, that only happens in the state. The government is much more, the feds are much more efficient in how this is done.
Yeah, they're not playing hide the ball. Here's the deal. You got what you need. If you got the goods, we'll make the deal.
Right.
From the Adelson Institute. So I said those were checks that I needed to show so that I can get insurance for my children.
You recall them asking you about a meeting with Charlie in the car before Dolce Vita?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you couldn't recall what was discussed?
Yes, sir.
You recall that during the second proffer, you told the state that you didn't know the police were at your door during the wire? And if you had known they were at the door, you would have let them in?
I don't think I mentioned it in that way, but they didn't announce themselves when they were knocking on the door.
In fact, aren't we going to see in the wires that you were hiding from the police?
I was not hiding. I was at home.
Weren't you hiding at home?
From what? I was working from home that day.
Oh, boy.
Weren't you making a bunch of phone calls to a lot of people saying, the police are at my door. I don't know what to do. I can't answer the door. I'm afraid. Weren't you hiding from them?
Somebody was knocking at the door. They didn't state who they were. So I was calling Sigfredo and nobody was picking up. Then one of his coworkers finally called back and said that there's FBI over there speaking to him and he's going to come by the house.
And he came by the house?
Yes.
And you all discussed how you were going to stay hidden and not answer the door, right?
I didn't discuss anything. They just said that there was like an FBI agent or an agent outside. So I just never answered. And you decided not to answer the door and let them in, right? No, why would I let them in?
Let me make sure that we're being clear here.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that the police were outside your door?
I didn't know who was outside my door. I didn't know until his coworker had stated that there was an undercover or an agent outside.
And after he stated that, did you know that there was police outside your door?
They were gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they knocked.
Okay.
And then they were gone.
You didn't stay hidden for over 45 minutes
No,
while
sir.
these phone calls are happening?
I was at home. I just didn't open the door.
Okay.
You know what caught my attention there was when she said, I called Sigfredo Garcia, the trigger man, and he wasn't there, but talked to one of his co-workers. What does a Sigfredo Garcia co-worker look like and do exactly?
Right.
What is that? What does that work? Yeah. So, anyway, the picture we get is pretty darn clear. The real question then is contrasting this with what we're going to see in the Donna Adelson trial, right? Is Katherine Magbanua going to try to again better her own position, her own life, her time behind bars with testimony that she thinks will help the prosecution or not? Maybe the prosecution doesn't even call her because they feel that she is so tainted.
I don't know. I guess in terms of Donna Adelson, you're not getting that vibe that we just saw with Charlie Adelson and him looking at her and her looking back at him. So with Donald Adelson, that bump at the restaurant to me is in The Wire. That's with Charlie. That's the ball game right there, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's huge. But they may bring her on, Katherine Magbanua, and limit her testimony to the degree they can on direct to just some of the foundational stuff. Obviously, a pivotal player in the whole mess. And people, the jury should want to hear, okay, what was that relationship with Donna, if at all? Remember, there was some testimony that Donna was kind of the go-between between her, Katherine Magbanua, and Charlie Adelson, which is going to be key to the case against Donna Adelson.
Right. We are slowly working up the ladder. Now, someone took issue with us because we said this is the final trial. This is the final trial for anybody that's been indicted, people.
That's right.
Okay?
I mean, yeah.
All right, just stop it.
People hate Wendy so much that
right?
they're just counting on a trial against her. I wouldn't count on that.
And the father and all. There's only one indictment we're talking about. That's Donna Adelson, who has a trial date. Okay, simple as that. All right.
And
now
I want to pick up.
No, I really do. I have a problem with people.
No, I don't have a problem with the dad
tricky.
not being involved. I mean, have you heard anything from anybody from any trial suggesting he was somehow more than just the husband of Donna Adelson?
Unless he's got some information.
You would think by now, all these trials, that if he did, that it would be out, right?
Right, exactly.
That's just me, but maybe there's some smoking gun that's going to bring him along. I think Wendy is the one that everybody expects is going to be next.
Well,
I just don't think he should do that.
She's the one who had. This whole starts out of. Two of the most vicious trials we've seen in our careers involve custody battles.
I know.
And not only that, when you're a lawyer, one of the things you hate. We're the criminal defendants. We go into court all the time representing people. We're not really scared, but when you go into court in a matrimonial case, I had somebody run over in my law office parking lot who was a matrimonial attorney representing somebody. It is heated, it is vicious, and the problem is they're fighting over usually sometimes money, okay, sometimes, and more important, as the two we've seen, children, and yet they want and they're going to kill parents trying to help their children or protect their children. They're insane. That's an insane reasoning.
It is so twisted. I only did a couple of family law cases, which obviously at a certain point this was basically a family law case, right? Custodial issues that spiraled into murder. And I could just tell, I had a single couple, no children, getting a divorce. They spent tens of thousands of dollars fighting over a freaking coffee table that they both just could not live without. And, we know it was symbolic as to, who was going to win this battle. Are you kidding me? That kind of bizarre, twisted, irrational, I don't need that. I don't need to deal with that. And so I got out of that quickly. So not my field of expertise.
Not my thing. Yeah. I remember when I was a prosecutor, just these little war stories aside, we had a case where 50%, you get half on a divorce. Well, somebody stood on the roof of a house with a chainsaw and started sawing down the house. I kid you not. These are the most explosive, the most heated, and the most vicious homicides you could see, aside from the ones that are like the Ted Bundys or the Brian Kobergers, the serial killer type ones. But we're talking about the Ohio case, right?
The Wagner and the Roden case.
Wagner and Roden case, which another
8 people
vicious.
Killed overnight as a result of a custody battle.
A custody battle, right. This is just vicious. But
that one has one more trial to go. Billy George Wagner. Remember, there were a lot of Billies. The dad, basically. That one is still queued up to go. So yeah, they're horrible. They're brutal, and we're getting ready for it. August 19th. Donna Adelson will be up next, and maybe the last of those that will be tried for the horrible.
And you're going to be there. You're going to be there. You're going to be there when Wendy Adelson testifies.
We're going to try to massage that schedule, time it out. I'll see if Wendy will let me know when she's going to be on. Whatever we need to do to try and sync that up, because her testimony and, of course, the verdict, the key parts of that trial. But we'll see how it goes. We'll be there one way or the other.
Yeah. By the time all these trials ends, the children will have grown up without a father.
Yeah.
Okay. Just remember that. So when you want to rag on us by saying that, justice, it's 11 years. Oh, the children are the victims. Remember, really, the children are the victims here, peoples.
Yep. Okay, then.
Way, I don't look like Donna Adelson.
that's stuck in your craw, as they say.
You can't make this shit up. I mean, we're talking about a serious case. We're talking about a serious case here. And thank you for our 23,000 subscribers. We're closing
we're almost at 25. You got to keep up
now. Okay, I'm sorry. Almost at 25,000 subscribers who follow us in our 9 months. It's a pleasure covering these cases for you and bringing you what we know, what we've seen over our 11 years of covering this case.
All right, Donna, have a great weekend. And I'm Michael Bryant. Until the next time, try to do the right thing.
And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, that share button, that like button, and that notify button, and we will see you Monday.
Riding flames, they charge with mine.